Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Globe Law and Business. It's a mixture of business management and law, as many of their books are. This one is European Takeovers, The Art of Acquisition. It's now in a second edition, and the consulting editor is Jeremy Grant. Elizabeth and I discussed this book in some detail, and we've come up with a title for our book review as follows: High-powered expertise on takeovers in the European context, all in one volume. And I think it's quite relevant at the moment. I'm recording this in the summer of 2018. The book has just basically come out, and we are in the midst of our decision to leave the European Union. So there's a huge amount of change taking place within Europe, our relationship with Europe, and of course our trade within the EU and outside. Let's have a look at the book first of all. It's a standard structure. It's obviously, that's the front of it, but you hold it up like that, you can see the title of it, you can see the back. There's not very much on the back which you can read. Then there's the spine. Again, it's difficult to read because of the inverse colouring. Now, the book is a hardback, as you can probably gather, and it runs to something approaching 360 odd pages. The back of the book has the detail of all those who've contributed to the work, a list of the authors, of which there are a large number. About the authors is what it says. Then we get into the appendices at the back. The actual body copy, you can see the structure. There is footnoting, and there are subheadings throughout. If we go to the front of the book, we can see the first page, which is again the way that they publish in Globe Law and Business, which is, as you see, inverted to that side, sort of landscape rather than portrait, if you follow me. Then you've got the detailed blurb about the book there. Then you've got the contents section, which you can see, very detailed. It gives the title of the essay, if you like, and then the names of the people involved, and you can see the various details which are covered. We're also looking specifically at specific countries, so they're sort of named countries throughout. You've got a main introduction written by Jeremy Grant from the London School of Economics, which is there, and then over the page. And then we go straight into the Takeover Directive and Judicial Enforcement of Shareholder Rights in Practice. And what I'm saying today about this subject, I do not see any immediate changes to take place. Obviously, in the longer term, there will be a lot of change. And as I say, you can see the various footnoting all the way through. As I say, it's an important book, and I'm delighted to review it. And I'm very grateful to Sean and Nicola for sending it to us. So what do we say about the book? Well, we say this: lawyers dealing with corporate clients based in or trading into Europe and facing the prospect of a takeover, hostile or otherwise, will gratefully welcome the new second edition of European Takeovers, The Art of Acquisition. It's a specialist area, but it's an interesting area, and you're dealing with substantial sums of money. Equally, advisors to those big corporates, with their beady eyes already on acquisition, we think will find the advice and insights contained in this book invaluable. Now, the book itself is published by Globe Law and Business, and the new edition contains, between two covers, a veritable wealth of potentially wealth-generating information on takeovers, whether as an advisor you're involved in planning them, defending them, or carrying them out. So it's got a wide across-the-board appeal, if you like. With this illuminating discussions of mergers and acquisitions, supported by reference to specific cases, the book itself has been intended at the outset as something to function as, in the words of the publishers, quote, a complete guide to the European Takeover Directive, national M&A regulation, and the interaction between domestic and pan-European regulation. So, you've basically got a statement of the law as it currently stands, and as I've indicated, I do not expect any big changes immediately, although in the long term there are bound to be a lot of changes once we pass that point on the 29th of March 2019 and leave the European Union. There will obviously at that stage start to begin to be a very different future for us and for everybody else. Now, while the focus is on Europe, of course, there is also an examination by way of comparison on takeover law in the United States of America. Interestingly, one of the appendices on hostile takeovers in the US offers revelations, as you might expect, with some colourful historical anecdotes, notably about corporate raiders. Now, one, Michael Milken from the firm Drexel Burnham, who in the 1980s set up an M&A business within the firm's junk bond division, apparently organised an annual conference at the Beverly Hills Hotel, which was dubbed the Predator's Ball. Reportedly, there's a book of the same name by author Connie Bruck. It's startling to read further that the Williams Act, regarded as the primary legislation regulating the takeover process in the US, was passed by Congress in 1968. So you get some idea of the historic links here. Now, this book has been edited by Jeremy Grant, who comes from the London School of Economics. And the book is actually a compilation of high-powered consultancy from at least 30 experts across Europe. Many hail from the LSE itself, well, it's not a surprise really, others from banking and still others from top European universities and top law firms, including Linklater and Allen & Overy. And just one example is Luca Enriquez, I do apologise, Luca Enriquez from Allen & Overy and Professor of Corporate Law at the University of Oxford. And the latest edition, as Hunt explains, appears in the wake of the epoch-defining events of the great financial crisis around 2008 and the Brexit vote in the UK. And he adds that while the former had a significant impact on European financial regulation, that's the crisis, it appears too early to elaborate on the impact of the latter, that's Brexit. You have been warned. Now, I say that because at the moment this book is very relevant, but for how long, that's really the question. So let me conclude by saying this, that with today's political and financial uncertainties in mind, companies and their legal advisors will be well advised to have European takeovers to hand as a ready reference as well as a source. It's a useful source book, there's copious footnoting certainly, and its course of reference for further information and research is also included. And with its penetrating analysis and detailed examination of an admittedly complex area of law, this new edition of European Takeovers, we think, should prove indispensable for any lawyer involved in corporate law and corporate restructures, particularly in the European context. And the date of the publication is cited at 2018, and I'm recording it in the middle of the year. Let's just have a quick look again. There's the front of the book there. There's some blurb on the back. But if we open it in the middle, I'm just picking any right in the middle of the book. We're looking at Poland. So you see, you're running from country to country, and this is looking at the regulatory format for that particular country. And likewise, you go to another country, Spain, you've got the same thing. So the structure of the book is relatively similar for each of the countries, and as you can see, all of the countries are listed there in the tables of contents at the front. Anyway, I'd like to thank Global Law and Business, as I said, for producing this work. It's very useful. Their books are of a very high quality. We do actually find them extremely useful as people in practice doing the actual operational work. So thank you all very much indeed for what you're doing for us. It does make our lives a bit easier. And with that, all the very best to you. Bye-bye.